Welcome to a Treasure Valley Live interview. With us today we have Ashley Rose Smith, as well as Sandy and Jen of the Ashley Rose Smith Band. Also, Jesse of Mixed Metaphor. Yeah. And I'm of LowerGentry Studios. My name's Chuck. Thank you for playing a set for us. Can you tell us about the song choices that you made for today? Ashley, you have an original and a cover.
Yeah.
You chose the Bee Gees, which...
We did.
That's a cool choice.
Yeah, but a bit of whiplash between the two of those songs. They're a bit distant in genre. The Gotta Get Better tune we chose because the backing vocals are so strong on that tune. It was a big part of the arrangement process was these two musicians singing those parts. And the Bee Gees tune came to us how? The groove
on the drive home last night
on
from
the drive
Stanley.
Home. Yeah, we decided maybe we should do that one.
It's like, yeah,
There's
a little more.
Is that in your
upbeat.
repertoire frequently then, or
it's a new one in our repertoire? Yeah.
Okay.
And
do you play it that style?
We do. It's
Okay.
not my arrangement. There's an artist named PJ Morton who did a take of that with another incredible vocalist named Yeba.
Okay.
Who's incredible. So we ripped the vibe, and then these ladies arranged the backing vocals for that one.
It was awesome. I'm actually not familiar. The song was "How Deep Is Your Love."
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with that one
okay, we
because they were
forgive
brilliant
you.
songwriters. The Bee Gees were
So hip. So hip.
but they wrote for a ton of people too, didn't
Yes.
they? Yeah.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah.
I don't know, but their career alone was pretty weighty.
Oh yeah.
Those songs, yeah.
I dig it. I mean,
They're so
CPR. The value to CPR alone is like
CPR.
staying alive. You know, you have to. You
No,
have to do
that's right.
You're supposed to
Oh.
go to staying alive
Yeah.
when you're giving someone CPR.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So they contributed to the well-being of all
so
of us
many people
who are
alive.
CPR
Staying
certified.
alive.
Staying alive. Wow. That was good.
So you have an album coming out that you're working on right now, yes?
I am working on a record, and the first single should come out this fall.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
right.
I'm down over at Audio Lab with Steve Fulton, who's
He's
a peer.
great.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Great friend and mentor of mine. And the first single is Closer to You. So that should come out this fall, which is exciting and nerve-wracking. It's my first record ever, my first solo record, which feels like a big deal. I am much more comfortable, I think, like many artists, maybe you guys can relate, to being in a supportive role musically. I love coming into Jesse's studio, for example, and tracking backing vocals and arranging parts for someone else's music. That's something I've done a lot of in the past. So being in the center and centering my songwriting is completely new and overdue too.
You've been at it for a long time though.
I've been
So
at it for a long time.
like
I have no excuse.
how far back do these songs go for the album?
Most of them are newer,
Oh, cool.
actually. Yeah, most of them are within the last 5 years. I think actually all of them. So maybe this would be a good time to talk about my older tunes.
Yeah.
My folk era. I would love to track here sometime.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Do some
would be
folky
really
stuff.
fun. Yes, lo-fi, fun, stripped down, minimal instrumentation would be so fun.
And you've been a staple in the Boise music scene for a while, yes?
I've been playing here for a long time. I
Okay.
mean, me and my roommates and bandmates at the time, we moved here in 2008.
Okay.
I dropped out of nursing school to play rock and roll in the big city of Boise.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Usually people go to like, Nashville or other
No one
places.
told me. No one
You're like,
told me.
hey, I'll start something here.
I'll start something here in Boise.
We have a couple bars,
I lucked
yeah.
out because Boise is actually in a total renaissance for music and creativity
I agree.
and opportunity.
Yeah.
I had to quit my day job in order to make room for music that was supporting me better than any other avenue in my life, including healthcare.
Oh.
I was employed as a clinic manager and a nurse, a surgical nurse and medical assistant, and music, because of the kind of community that Boise is, yoinked me into that direction. I really felt like I had a choice, but it was heavily influenced by the opportunity that this town provides.
Cool. Where was your first Boise gig?
The street corner of
Oh, you're busking.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I moved here in the housing crisis of 2008.
Oh, yeah.
So I was
Cool.
busking 3-4 nights a week, trying to make $60 to $80 in order to pay for my $470 2-bedroom
the old
weirdo
days.
apartment
Yeah.
on Franklin, so
Yeah.
close to downtown. Me, Andy Rayborn, and Ben Kirby just
No way.
cutting our teeth in the streets. Yeah, making rent that way.
That's special.
Yeah, those were my first gigs.
Nice. And did they pay pretty well? Or did it depend on the evening?
Definitely
Maybe not
depended
Tuesday
on the
nights.
evening. Tuesdays were not great. They were not great. Yeah, it's a little more cushy now, but still, music is an immense amount of work. We just spent a weekend in Stanley, Idaho, playing a music festival, and driving 6+ hours, loading in and out, at least 6 times for 3 shows, and
Wow.
camping in tents, and
Yeah, we heard about trying to find bathrooms.
a
It's
bathroom.
hard.
Yeah, we were like, "Where is there a shower available?"
Yeah.
I have to be on stage in 20 minutes. Like, it's an immense amount of work, and there are pieces of it that feel glamorous and beautiful, but it's not that distant from busking. It is hard, earnest work where you're just trying to connect with yourself and other people. Yeah, and you may be in service to them, or they may not notice you at all, and that can happen on stage or the street corner. There's really no difference to me.
What's your favorite aspect
Yeah.
of being a self-employed musician?
Sleeping to double digits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's the best. That's the best. And actually, it's probably working with these two ladies. We spend a lot of hours working on vocal arrangements, and coming up into music, a lot of my training, most of it actually came from choral singing.
Okay.
So integrating vocal arrangements and choral arrangements into my music is so delicious and nourishing to me. So we spend hours on one song, trying different harmonies and affectations, and we talk about nerdy things like diphthongs and where to place our vowels. And
Can you remind us what a diphthong is?
Google it later, but not at work. No, it's when 2 vowels are next to each other. So like the word round. Ound. That's like, there's a lot going on there. And so the fun thing about working with 2 vocalists who are extremely well-trained lead vocalists in their own right is that they have all this nuance and these wicked ears that can hear all those details, and we just make decisions, and also there's a lot of impulsivity and musicality that comes through too by just connecting and hanging outside of the stage.
And to springboard off that, for this recording that we did, Jesse set up one vocal mic essentially.
Yeah.
And the 3 of you were able, with your skills and vocals, to essentially mix it live in the moment.
Yeah, I heard you all practicing, and I was trying to decide what to do. And I was like, well, this is going to be easy.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
One mic.
we just
That's it.
back you up into the right positions, and that's it.
It was so fun to witness, too, all of the technical aspects of choosing the microphones and getting the lighting just right, and all of the many technical terms you commented on with the camera.
Right.
Like, there's
a lot.
no point of reference for whatsoever.
Just not.
It's so fun to feel the mediums cross over and connect. So thanks
That's
for
why
inviting
we
us
love
here.
doing this.
It's
And there's,
so
like you said,
cool.
there's so much talent here in the Treasure Valley musically.
Seriously.
That it's easy to have, like, in what we're doing, NPR tiny desk style thing, like, happen very regularly.
Oh, yeah. If only we had more time.
If you had
So-
more time, because the pool of talent is limitless here, and there's just new stuff bubbling up all the time. The youth
Yeah.
in this community, I think, is like on fire. They always have been. I've always felt that there's such a special vibe with young people, and there are some unique points of training and education in this valley. Yeah. So,
What were some moments,
check it
because
out.
you've been doing this since 2008, and obviously that's a pretty long time to be playing music in the area. What were some highlights of that time and playing music, and what were some points as you saw Boise expand, you were like, oh, this is different, where you kind of, like almost like sitting in the pot as it's starting to boil. Did you have those moments where you're looking back, you're like, oh, dang.
I think there's probably a few, and one that comes to mind is my first performance at the Visual Arts Collective.
Oh, okay.
Which is one of my favorite venues in town.
Fantastic.
So amazing. And I felt...
Great lighting in there, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Just
Chaz,
killer.
come on.
Yeah, Chaz Gentry, who is actually not associated with LowerGentry.
That's too bad.
Sorry, Chaz. He gets a lot of guff because they're like, oh, it must be Chaz. It's like, oh, he's great. We want to work with him eventually. Like,
so
we want to go in there and
wonderful.
shoot in the vat because he knows how to run lights so well.
He's an artist. I love when we perform there. We had a show there, gosh, how long ago was that? We closed out the night for David Henry's album release party.
Oh, nice.
And the lighting was great. The venue was beautiful.
What's his name? Ty Clayton.
Oh, it was Ty Clayton's release, and Dave Henry was on the bill as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was fabulous. And that was a neat return to have an invitation to support other artists in filling a bill out like that for something as special as an album release. That was a bookend to the first moment, which was an invitation to sing for the Creative and Improvised Music Festival, which took place for 3 or 4 years a while ago. But this was my first gig at the VAC. And the premise of the show was a piece of theater was being produced on stage, and myself and like some monster players from the Valley. Thomas Paul was on that roster, Aaron Davis, Crispin Hartung. I felt like a fish out of water, completely out of place. We improvised the entire score to the live theater that was taking place on stage.
What instruments were involved?
I was singing.
Okay.
Keys, guitar, and there was Jared Haddock. I'm sure you know Jared.
That sounds very familiar.
Amazing percussionist.
Okay.
Dated Katie Preston for a long time.
I have met Jared.
Okay, yeah. So I knew that would connect those dots. And I just sang completely improvised vocalese and...
kind of like Dark Side of the Moon-esque.
It was
The
so
track.
avant-garde and outside of anything I'd ever done. And it was terrifying. There was no structure at all. And that was a moment where I felt like, okay, if I can be this free in this kind of setting with these kinds of players, there was that was the beginning of a small belief that I might belong in music, that I could, if I choose to continue to train and show up, that okay, maybe. But it was really only until 5 years ago that I really actually made an effort to try to do music in the way that it could support my life and that I could support other musicians also by forming an ensemble and booking good work and writing good music for us to perform for great audiences. Yeah.
Right on. And what was the transition there?
That was the day job thing where I was feeling the pressure of scheduling. I book all my own shows. I manage my own band. And I was also working at a medical clinic, and it was just, I was getting social whiplash. The world's of a really sterile medical clinic and 3-hour sets in bars on the weekend, and the world's just couldn't, there was too much dissonance. Yeah. And also I was getting paid more in music. So that was...
One of them has to go.
One of them had to go.
Keep the fun one.
You picked the right one.
And I couldn't manage both. I can barely manage one. Oh, Sandy.
What do you think some of the what are some of the things that you think that people don't understand about having to be your own musician, being self-employed, that you wish that they did, where it's outside of the realm of, we're playing music, we're on stage? What are some pieces of advice you could give someone who's here in Boise that's I need to quit my job and I want to do music? What should they think about?
You want to take that one?
Apparently Sandy knows what's up.
We've talked a lot about this. Yeah.
We have. I actually just pulled back from doing my own shows because of how much it takes to be the boss and the lead and all of that. But yes, if you aren't making enough to pay for a manager or help above you or along with you, you hold every piece. every piece. So finding locations that are hiring for musicians, selling yourself to them, right? That's a really hard piece for a lot of us, I think, to be like, no, really, you want to pay me to sing for you, I promise.
It's like
it's
job hunting all the time.
all the time.
The relief you get when you gain employment and someone says, yes, I'm going to give you a way to make a living, you have to do that per date, per hour as a musician.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees.
No guarantees. And that, it can be taken away.
And then there are many venues available. Some don't necessarily pay a sustainable rate. So you have really hard decisions in that as well. And you're building relationships with people in every venue, every time. You're the face of the band. You hire the band. In Ashley's case, I think with a lot of us, we don't get to come in with the same players every time. So when you're leading that, it's not the people who were with you maybe last week or yesterday. So it's ever changing, and a lot of responsibility, and paying people out and keeping track of things. And if you have ADD,
do you have letters after your name?
I have so many letters after my name.
But I have a lot of letters after my name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A's and D's and H's
and then hauling your equipment and keeping. There's. I think I'm forgetting some things, but that's
it's a part of it.
It's a lot to
and
keep
that,
up
and
with.
Also learning and keeping up on your music. That
and
would
then
be a lot.
There's the music. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Jen had to learn an entire catalog of music when she came on with us. And how many hours did that take you to learn an entire new?
The time it took to play the show, I just had to get ready. Yeah. First knew when the show was and just had to crush it. Yeah, or else Ashley was going to be like,
Oh, yeah.
But we had hours together.
we did.
Hours together to choose the arrangement, decide on what we were doing vocally, and then Jen and I had sectionals, just the two of us to get it down, and then you practiced also on your own as you were driving or at your house.
That's a big piece that I would give, and we do give. I think we get a lot of questions from young musicians who are coming up in the Valley. How do you do it? And that's a big piece, is showing up prepared and knowing your parts is a really big piece. But it's also, I had a teacher tell me it's 3 things you've got to have on a gig. The hang has got to be good. The money's got to be reasonable, and then the music's got to be good. So that might mean the song choices are what's right for you as an artist, or the qualities of the performance itself. That can mean many things. And that's a big piece of building a band in itself. So I didn't realize how close it was to just running a business and employing people until this last year. A lot of changes in life have happened, and I've essentially interviewed / auditioned, I don't know, 12 different bass players and a number of vocalists who wanted in on the project. And when you know what feels right, it makes it easy. Like, Jen's an incredible professional. She's a lot of fun. She's so fun and professional. That combination's pretty great.
It's important. You're going to spend so much time together.
We spend so much time together.
Yeah.
And
kind of like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's so important. And I feel that in this Boise community, there's a kind of split, but not in a bad way, but there's sort of, I see 2 general categories sort of swirling in the community, and there's like creative original music, and there's professional entertainment style and level of performance. And then I feel our project straddles both worlds, because we play mostly original music, but we entertain and perform full time for a living wage. And that's been interesting to find that space in those 2 places, and to also try to make more space for all those other players. Like Sandy touched on, we have a rotating roster, and so I invite different soloists into the project. I do some mentorship for young femme musicians in the community, and yeah, so with all the difficulty and then the weightiness and the work, it's really beautiful and fun because it is so connecting, and the organism that is in Boise is so special and actually overall delightful. You see a lot of it, right?
I do. Yeah, I get to see a lot. It's really...
And a lot of different pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's very few people doing what you're doing. Like, so few. That,
wow.
Like what you're saying, original, but also entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so way to go. I'm so impressed.
Going so hard.
Going
okay,
back to those,
sense.
sorry, the three things you mentioned, right? The music,
yeah,
and the hang,
mm-hmm. And then we gotta eat.
We gotta eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the money too, but the music part, and I know this from Jen and myself. Like, we love Ashley's original music. I hire out to a couple of other artists as well, but if it's live music in the studio is different. I'll sing whatever they're asking for, but live I'm choosing very carefully if I like the hang, right? And if I like their music, to be a part of that project, that's really important to me. And learning her originals, it's not only fun on a creative level because that wasn't a song I've heard all my life, and I'm like, I can throw a third above that or whatever.
Or is
but
it a real song?
yeah, a real song.
That a lot. Is that a real song, or did you write it?
But also
AI. It was AI.
I am the robot.
You are. The hang part, Ashley is held and supported by a very large, lovely community here that adore her. And we are part of that community. And so just having the privilege to hang out with her and then say, what? I get to sing with you? What? You're like giving us the honor of singing your original pieces. And it's all
so mutual. Because I'm telling you.
So it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity.
Sandy fronts multiple projects and manages multiple bands and she's been on a break while I employ her as my section leader. She leads sectionals, and anytime we've had turnover in the vocal section, Sandy has helped select and train those vocalists, but she's a band leader in her own right, and so is Jen. Jen has fronted, like, Iron Maiden tribute band.
Oh, wow.
And singing the lead vocal, 2-hour Iron Maiden sets. Like, her vocal is
That's pretty impressive.
She's fronted blues bands.
Good.
Like,
Very
she
cool.
has her own duo, Miss Bones, with her husband, Matt, who's an incredible percussionist. So
cool.
I feel the same way. When I didn't call Jen for the longest time, I've told her this so many times, because it wasn't in my, like, perception that she would take the gig. Even though, to me, I know that I value backing vocalists as, like, a cornerstone in my ensemble. Like, notice I didn't bring in a bass player and a drummer when you asked for a trio today. I brought in my backing vocalists because they are, I think, the highlight of the music. So when she took the gig, I was like, no way. Yeah, it felt amazing.
I have to go along with Sandy. I'm very choosy. I pick things I want to do, and I love Ashley's music. And so I wouldn't have it any other way. My other favorite thing is she is such an advocate for herself and for others. And when you say a challenge maybe that you have or something that's really important as a business person is you need to advocate for yourself and your people and your community, and Ashley's a huge part of that. She's excellent.
That's very sweet. Thanks for
So the
saying
business
that.
shrewdness is also just as important as the musical talent.
Yeah. And just knowing that, you have to
Your
take
value.
care of your people if they're going to show up for you. They need to have their needs met too. So managing that aspect of having a rotating roster, but also having my musicians feel like they're somewhat cared for, their needs are met, getting material to them on time. There's a million things to do, a running task list that I'm constantly prioritizing, and I miss the mark a lot, but I keep trying, because there's been no handbook given to me on how to manage a band. I'm really lucky. I have witnessed and been mentored by people like Steve Fulton. Going on tour with him a few years ago made a huge imprint on me on how to care for your band, and he sets the bar really high. So witnessing that, I was like, I know this is possible, so I'm just going to try to do it, and I'm going to ask for all the things in order to be able to provide them, because for myself, I don't really seek the spotlight, but it feels great to offer other musicians a great gig and a great hang, and let their talent influence my music too. That's really where it's at.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming out today. How should people find out about your upcoming gigs? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so I try to keep the gram updated.
Okay.
Ashley.rose.music on Instagram, Ashley Rose Music on Facebook.
Okay.
And there's a link tree up there. And watch for our music in the fall.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.